MyFantasySportsTalk.com.
Hello again, everyone. This is Brandon Reid with MyFantasySportsTalk.com, bringing you the Week 7 edition of Pick 6, where I bring you 6 players I think could be sneaky plays on the waiver wire this week. You should run out there and grab them while you still have a chance. Now, this segment is getting harder and harder as the weeks move on through the NFL season because there are fewer and fewer really good quality players out there. But there's always players to be had from week to week as players go down and players step up. So we're starting out this week with my quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. He is owned in 74%. That's up 10%. And I think the reason being is because Tannehill, I mean, he's throwing the ball a lot. He's throwing it right at 70% of snaps, the Miami Dolphins snaps this year. So he will be throwing a lot. He needs his receivers to get healthy, which they finally are. He's got a complementary of weapons there, and he's going to keep throwing it when basically the Dolphins have nothing to lose and nothing left to really play for the rest of this season. While technically they're not out of the playoff race, but after letting Philbin go, really this is kind of a nothing to lose season. So I think that Tannehill will just keep throwing the ball and playing Houston this week with a below average pass defense. Now the only really drawback of Tannehill is he throws a lot of picks, 9 TDs this season and 7 picks. So, and I think a lot of that has to do with his receivers finally were not healthy at the time, so they finally are getting healthy, and he throws it a lot. So he's a risk taker, but I think he could be a good play this week and always going to throw a lot, so could put up big numbers on any given week. Next up, my running back for you this week is Duke Johnson of the Cleveland Browns. Now, I know it's a tough position to put any Cleveland Brown player on your fantasy squad that maybe not named Travis Benjamin, but I really like Duke Johnson a lot out of Miami. He is owned in 63% of leagues right now on ESPN. That's down a little bit, but here's the thing. He's getting more and more snaps and becoming a bigger part of the Browns' offense. So take that for what it's worth, but he's really acclimating himself well. He gets carries, so he's going to be putting points on the board. He also is big in the passing game as well. Now, he won't be shut out, and I think he's due for another double-digit game. Again, a big threat in the passing game, and this is a good matchup for him because St. Louis is giving up 4 yards per rush and 7 yards per reception to backs. So he could be a big play again this week. And again, I think he's going to be working his way into the Browns' rotation and playing scheme and game scheme more and more as time goes on. I think he will be a pretty good player as time goes on. Next up, receiver is Allen Hurns, Jacksonville receiver. We talked about Tannehill throwing a lot. Well, Blake Bortles throws a lot too because Jacksonville ends up throwing a lot because they find themselves down in games. So Bortles has an arm, and if he isn't throwing to Allen Robinson, he's going to be throwing to Allen Hurns. So 3 double-digit scoring days out of 6 games already for Hurns, and the Bills will give up yards to receivers. So I think Hurns is a worthy flex play going forward as long as Blake Bortles stays healthy. Hurns has always got that big play potential, so I think he's worthy of a flex play in your yearly leagues, your fantasy leagues, or even your daily fantasy plays as well. Again, kind of complements Allen Robinson. If one of them's not going off, the other one will. So take that for what it's worth, but I think he's worth grabbing and hanging on to. Now, my tight end this week is Gary Barnidge. I like this dude. He's for real. Enough talk about he's not for real. He's for real. He is owned in 79% of ESPN leagues. That's up 12%. Has developed a pretty good chemistry with Josh McCown. He's 6'6" with great hands and feet, as we saw a couple of weeks ago with that catch. He scored 5 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. Now, will that slow down? Of course. I'm not saying that's not going to slow down. That's unbelievable production. But what I'm saying is enough of this talk about he's not for real. This dude is for real. And, as long as his quarterback can stay healthy and keep that chemistry going, then, I think they will keep on rolling. So look for Gary Barnidge not to continue to put up double-digit days, but he will be a big player, a big tight end. I don't think he'll get shut out. He's going to get you 5 or 6 points just about every single week. Now, my wide receiver flex play this week is going to be Ted Ginn Jr., Carolina. owned in 34% right now. That's actually down just a tad. Now, Carolina's 5-0. Their biggest offensive playmaker, not named Cam Newton, is Ginn Jr. I think he got his bad game out of the way with against Seattle. A lot of guys do that against Seattle, but he'll bounce back. You're still needing the big play from him for him to put up big numbers, but that could happen any given time and any given game. So as long as Cam Newton is playing healthy and Ginn is healthy, then I think they got a really good combination. They're playing Philly this week, so I look for that to be a high-scoring, fast-paced, up-and-down type of game. Ginn could get a couple of looks that could go the distance for long yardage and big gains for you. So this could be a big week. And again, I think he's a pretty good play just about every week as a flex play. Lastly, my defense for you this week in Week 7 is the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I know you would have never picked them last year. I would have never picked them last year, but they've really turned around under Dan Quinn. He has really turned this into a defensive team. Now, they're playing Tennessee this week. Okay, here's the thing. That's the biggest part. They're playing Tennessee. Mariota is out. Now, let me say this. I do like Zach Mettenberger a lot. I think Mettenberger could be as good, possibly better than Mariota. We'll see. Mariota has impressed, but I really like Mettenberger as well. But he hasn't been playing. And I think Mettenberger's going to have pressure on him this week to not only make big plays and possibly get Tennessee the win, but to prove that he is the man as well and earns and deserves that job over Mariota just as well. So, the Falcons have been playing well. Again, much improved defense. They already have a walk-off pick 6 this year, so they can get it done in 6 picks through 6 games. So, look for that this week against Tennessee. Mettenberger doesn't take quite as good a care of the ball as Mariota does, so the Falcons could be a big play. I picked them up in my fantasy league this week. We'll see what happens. So that is it for your Week 7 Pick 6. Enjoy. Run out there and grab those guys if you still have a chance. And once again, if you need a kicker, just go get a kicker. This is Brandon Reid, MyFantasySportsTalk.com. Visit our website, visit our YouTube page, and like us on Facebook.
MyFantasySportsTalk.com.